Our community is one of intersections. Claremont and Main, 42 and 250, College Avenue and Center Street. In a small town where everyone knows everyone else, our personal and professional lives intersect all day and night. We're a community without fences, a community of daily connections with people outside our circle of colleagues and family. Who are the strangers of Ashland you intersect with except someone else's friend, someone else's daughter, someone else's colleague? The other is somebody like you, someone whose story you've intersected in the middle of its writing, someone with a history that influences their present, someone who can't sleep at night, who struggles with debt and health and addictions and relationships. The chapters of our past are interwoven with both pleasant memories and silent hurts. Neglect, divorce, addiction, loss, grief, trauma left to fester. Those chapters shape who we are and how we relate to the world. We carry our stories with us into every intersection. No one's life story has been written for them. We are in the midst of writing our lives, a choose-your-own-adventure story you are in yourself, along with every person you encounter. We are a story in progress, a people in progress. How does your story impact the others around you? How does other people's stories impact you? Do we have space in our personal narratives to engage with others?
In 2015, the Family and Children First Council in our community organized a major health assessment, virtually every partner organization in the community. The four areas, the four themes were health and wellness, obviously, but then also looking at poverty, the opiate addiction problem and substance abuse in general, and also violence across the lifespan. All of these things are very much intertwined and braided, if you will, yet each of them demands some specific attention.
The ACE study challenges us to ask a better question, and that is, what were some of the experiences that this particular client may have experienced early on in their formative years that have given them a different perception of the world, or that have affected the way that they carry out their interpersonal relationships?
Essentially, the ACE study provides a language for us to use, a common language. It helps us to understand certain dimensions of interpersonal violence and categories of abuse and neglect. It provides a framework for integrating services and programs. These experiences are the most significant contributing factor to not only healthcare costs, but to all kinds of social problems that we experience. So rates of incarceration, people seeking mental health services, addiction, and so on. People struggling with education and in the workforce. All of those things have some connection to our early experiences.
When you look at those chronic medical problems as a response to their emotional trauma and recognize that the behaviors that led to those were simply their self-treatment plans, you begin to realize that you have to think about the patient in a whole different way. We actually have to think about the question, what happened to you, rather than what's wrong with you. And then you can engage in a way where the patient actually gains your trust.
So what it means for the high school, and really the school system in general, is it puts on our shoulders this realization that while our students are with us from 5 years old to 18 years old, the ACE trauma are happening to them. And then, we realize now with the study that this has implications for the rest of their life.
When we can recognize a traumatic event or a trauma response from somebody, it helps to keep us safer. It helps to keep the people that we're dealing with safer. It's not the reaction that somebody's given us might be trauma related versus they're just not happy to see us. So it can dictate our response. It can help us identify, the person's not trying to be uncooperative with us. they're just experiencing a traumatic event.
We do have a strong message of hope, and that message is in the field that is rapidly expanding, that's brought together many disciplines: medicine, neurology, biology, social science, and education. And those fields have converged to help us understand a concept that's called resiliency.
If we can learn how to take those negative experiences and somehow incorporate them and compost them and allow them to change us, now we have brought meaning into suffering. Now we have brought a transformative potential. We realize the transformative potential of suffering and these negative experiences.
We're all on the same playing field here. Every one of us has the potential to do great things. But unfortunately, for folks with higher ACE scores, they have been beat up by their circumstance and many times have had to struggle along the way. Now, having said that, people that I've encountered that are survivors are some of the strongest people that I've ever met. We tend to classify people between good people and bad people. The good people live in certain neighborhoods. The good people come from certain families and they make good decisions. We think of the bad people coming from different neighborhoods, from different families that make bad decisions. Humans are way more complicated than that.
A lot of people who have experienced trauma tend to feel that, that they're not good enough and that other people are judging them.
If you think about the importance of it, well, clearly we're talking about our children, and we're talking about how those adverse effects in children go on to become adult medical problems. I work for the healthcare delivery system, but I interact frequently with people in the business community, at the schools, both at levels of the high school and the university. If we don't find that common language to develop a trauma-informed community, then we won't have the opportunity to impact our society in a very cohesive way.
When law enforcement has a better understanding of what is actually going on, then we have, we're better to guide that person to the proper resource.
The fantastic news from the neuroscientists is that at any stage in life, there's that plasticity and that wonderful ability of our brains to be reprogrammed and to do better.
Resilience comes when you feel like other people care about you and that other people want you to be successful in whatever you're doing. There's a big difference between the kid who experiences trauma and doesn't have anyone that says, I believe in you, I think that you have value, you're very important, you have a gift and you can be this, as opposed to the kid who experiences trauma and has someone, even just one adult in their life, who says, you matter. And what's happened to you doesn't have to define you. I think that's what will build resilience, and we have to start with kids, but there's a lot of adults that need that as well. And I know from personal experience that you can bounce back, and resilience is something that you can accomplish.
I think why the ACE study had a special impact on me is I realized that I have a high ACE score. And so the implications of that study are making me look at my life and interpreting my life in the framework of the ACE research. Things become a little more clear, and I also think, in looking back on my career, I think the fact that I had a higher ACE score has been maybe the most useful credential I have in working with students.
In order for us to move forward and to build empathy and resiliency, we have to stay connected to a community. In my opinion, the key to healing is staying in relationship and finding adequate support, finding people that come alongside you, that believe in you, that are willing to walk with you during the bad times and the good times, people that are willing to celebrate, people that are willing to not only accept, but celebrate the differences, your uniqueness. So if we're looking at building resiliency, we have to stay connected.
How would you want to be treated when the officer showed up and this was your house? You want some empathy. You want the understanding, the compassion of the officer for the situation that it is. My home just got violated. It's not just a report.
I think it's just an important piece of information for employers to become aware of. There's a lot of discussion of behavioral issues, or when employees are maybe having some challenges, or teams in particular having challenges working together, that it's sometimes not as simple of just this person is misbehaving. That understanding that we all bring to the table our stories and our experiences. And so if we can help business owners and managers and leaders to start to develop more awareness of kind of what drives people and how people respond to situations, I think that could just go a long way for organizations not struggling as much to have productive teams. I think that just becoming aware of the ACEs study could go a long way for organizations in helping them with their bottom line.
I think in the end, the ACE research, although it's 20 years old, is a national calling that we either better start protecting our children, or we need to become trauma-informed and responsive organizations if we want a healthy nation, if we want a great community. Ashland is a great community.
The message to the Ashland community is that we can help each other be better. And collectively, we can do better in our churches, we can do better in our homes, better in our workplace, better in our schools, in child care.
It would just simply be amazing for every part of our community to begin to ask the question, what happened to you, not what's wrong with you? And I think in essence, it's the beginning of giving humans dignity.
When we meet people, it's like opening up a book in the middle, and we don't know what happened in the first part of the book. It's also important to remember that the rest of the book is yet to be written, and that people can change the course of their life, they can change the narrative, and they can change the ending of the story. But they won't be able to do that if they don't understand the fuller context of the story to begin with.
Every intersection presents an opportunity. Every intersection in Ashland gives us the chance to see each other as more than other, more than someone else, more like a brother, a friend, a neighbor. Our past has already been written. We carry those chapters with us today, and they influence how we interact in the world. But our past can be reimagined, reinterpreted, and redeemed. Our present and our future chapters are yet unwritten. Their present and future chapters are yet unwritten. Your present and future chapters are yet unwritten. We are the contributing authors of each other's lives. See the people of Ashland in a new light, and change the way you intersect. Our intersections give us the opportunity to change direction, and by doing so, change the health and life of our community. When you come to a new intersection, change direction. Change Ashland for good.